It's February the 5th, 1996. The survivor is Rosette Fischer Ziegelfarb. Mary Rothschild interviews in Los Angeles, California, USA. It will be in English.
It's February 5th, 1996. I'm Mary Rothschild interviewing Rosette Fischer for the Survivors of the Shoah Visual History Foundation. It's February 5th, 1996, tape 1 with Rosette Fischer. Please give us your name and spell it.
My name is Rosette Fischer, R-O-S-E-T-T-E, Fischer, F-I-S-C-H-E-R.
What was your maiden name?
Ziegelfarb. Want me to spell it?
Yes, please.
C-Y-G-E-L-F-A-R-B.
What was your... did you have any nicknames when you were growing up?
Reisele.
What is your birthday?
My birthday, September the 23rd, 1923.
Where were you born?
Lodz, Poland.
What do you remember about your childhood?
I remember very, very happy home. My father was very kind. We were 3 girls. And he would always make surprises, like come home with some presents for my mother, for us. He would tell my mother, close your eyes, and we'll bring it towards the mirror. And then he said, now you can look. There would be a little fur coat, a necklace, toys for us, and he never, never screamed at us. When he talked to us, his voice was very even, and we respected him and loved him so much.
What was his name?
Shmuel. My son is named after my father and the father of my husband.
How did he make a living?
My father, we had a store from clothing, women's clothing. And in 1936, business were very bad. He went to Paris. There was the exhibition at the time. And they decided, between my mother, the family, to move to Paris. In 1937, towards the end, or beginning 38, I think it was still 37, we moved to Paris. My parents went first, and then they came to get my little sister and me.
What was your mother's name?
Esther.
How about your 2 sisters?
My eldest sister's name is Cecile. In Poland was Fischer. And my youngest sister, Rachel Leah. And my granddaughter is named after her, which I'm very grateful to my son and my daughter-in-law.
How old were you when you moved to Paris?
I must have been 15 or...
How was life in Paris?
Life in Paris, at first, I didn't know the language, but I got friends right away. I guess that it's easy for me to make friends. So I was busy with my friends, went to school for a year. Then the war, of course, broke out. We were in hiding. Then we got back to Paris.
Where did you go to hide?
Hiding? Outskirts of forgot the name. I'm too excited. It's outskirts of Paris.
How did that happen?
That we went into hiding?
Yes.
Because we heard that the Germans are coming. So we went into hiding. No, at first we were supposed to go to the Zone Libre, which is the free zone, but at the same day the car broke down and couldn't get repaired. So my father said, es ist bescheuert, that we should not go. So we stayed, and at the beginning the Germans just didn't do that much till they started to, to take the papers. They took away the papers from my father, who had the papers de commerçant. That means that he could only make commerce, and they wouldn't give him any other papers, like working papers. I got working papers. And when the war broke out, and when the German came, and my father couldn't do much, so I acquired for a job which will permit us to stay, because without a job there wouldn't be anything. Right after I didn't even have the permit, they arrested us.
Who arrested you?
Two French civilian detectives, I guess. I was ready to go out from the house. A friend of mine would come and pick me up, and I thought it was him, and and somebody knocked at the door, and there were two Germans and didn't let us go out. And my father tried everything that should just go, but it didn't work. We walked, all the four of us, my little sister, my mother, my father, and me, to the prefecture. And I have to say that they probably didn't want us as much as they wanted my parents. They took us to a depot, à la mairie, and there they even sent us out for some bread. But we wouldn't leave our parents. Their French was poor, and we wouldn't leave no matter what. So from there we went to la prefecture, and from the prefecture they sent us to Drancy. Drancy was a camp outskirts of Paris. And the only good thing about Drancy was that the family was together. We did not sleep together, but we had my father eating with us and so on. Our friends still could send a package from here and there. And at the time that we were there weren't too many deportations. But one day came a convoy with children. The children were tested. There was a place where usually, I guess that was for the soldiers, that was to make gym or whatever, sports. And that was in the middle of the camp. We were not allowed to see, but I had the time to see a little boy holding his sister. The little sister would hold her doll again, close her doll, and the children would walk. We didn't know what it was, why they're walking for the papers. They would have names on it. Later on, we find out what happened to them, but that always stays in my mind. In June 1923, June, I think yes, 1923, we all were deported to
43.
Yeah, 1943.
Before we talk about that, can you describe the conditions at Drancy?
In Drancy, the conditions were, there were barracks, like everybody slept on wooden beds, and to wash there was a whole row all along with the faucets. And we would wash together because women will be with women and men will be separate. We got very, not that much to eat, but in comparison with Auschwitz and Birkenau, I think it was a paradise.
What did you eat? What did you eat?
I really don't remember. It didn't matter too much. We were with my father, and like I say, our friend would send us something from time to time. I really don't remember what we ate. There was a lady that was with us who sang beautifully. And when we were deported, the same lady, when she started screaming into the wagons, we were deported in in wagons from des animaux, the cattle wagons. And she went crazy, like, you know, she started screaming, they're gonna kill us, they're gonna kill us. Somebody slapped her over the face. And she sat down and she was just talking to herself. It was just unbelievable. The atmosphere, one sat on top of the others, and the little windows. And we were squeezed, but we still thought that we're going to work.
How old were you at that time?
I must have been 20.
How long did you stay in Drancy?
Almost 20.
How long did you stay in Drancy?
In Drancy we stayed 6 months.
6 months. What was a typical day like?
What was?
In Drancy. What did you do during the day?
We had people made shows. As a matter of fact, it wasn't one little show, it was nothing to it. And we tried to read. We made friends, which I still have, the one that survived. We're still very, very close. And we've seen the family, try to have news from the outside. I had some friends, Doris, which was my best girlfriend. Her parents were with her also. And we would be together and just read and talking about what we read and what we did. And there was a very nice man that had a non-Jewish wife. And he was also share with us and give us some things that he got from his wife from Paris. It was every day just like a detention camp. And Drancy was somewhere where I hope I'm going to get out from, because my friends from outside also were sending me letters and were saying that they do what they can to liberate us. It didn't happen, but they tried, so I guess so we had more hope in Drancy, excuse me.
How long were you on the cattle trains?
I believe we were 3 nights. 3 nights. That was a nightmare.
Who was with you?
My father, my younger sister, my mother, and I. And of course, my friends that we made. I have here a friend that his name is Maurice Kornberg. And he was with his family too. And they retarded the deportation from 1 day because he spilled some coffee on his leg. And but they were yelling, and you know, I guess that I don't have to talk about that because everybody knows what was going on. There was no place where to go to the toilet, you should excuse me. And we were squeezed, people were going mad. It was just unreal. Just unreal.
Did you know where you were going?
No, but they told us we're going to work.
What happened when you arrived?
When we arrived in Auschwitz, there was, of course, screaming, yelling, a lot of SS in uniforms. They started to separate people back to the right, to the left. They separated my father from us. My mother, my sister and I took my mother in the middle. They were looking at us and they looked at my mother, looked at her, and they said, well, I think you still can work. We didn't know what it means.
How old was your mother?
My mother must have been 44. She was a young woman, very pretty. As a matter of fact, when we think about it, they used to say, don't walk with your mother because it doesn't do you justice. She was very pretty and very good. My mother and I were constantly in camp. I mean, together in camp.
What happened that first day?
The first day, we were pushed together into the camp and then into an unhousing place. We didn't know what it was. They took away all our belongings, or a little body, whatever we had. They cut our hair. They didn't cut, they shaved our heads. They said that we're going to have a shower, but I don't even remember if we had a shower. Then we stood in the line alphabetically, and they made a tattoo on our arm.
Did you get tattooed?
Yes, I got tattooed. My sister got tattooed.
Can I see it? Thank you.
Yes. It was, I didn't feel human anymore. It was very, very, very bad. That was, I think, the worst thing what they did to us. We did not feel like human beings anymore. They took away the pride. They took away everything what a person could have. Would you please ask me a question, because it's hard for me to.
What happened next?
What happened next? Yeah. We went to a big barrack. There were little girls from Slovakia, I guess. My mother, my sister, and I. They gave us places. They called it koya, and it was all wooden, and we were supposed to sleep there. When we sat down, a young girl came and said something nasty to my mother. And my mother, I think, was Slovakian or something. I really don't remember, because she slapped my mother's face, because my mother said, "You're so young. Why are you talking like that?" And she didn't like it, so she slapped my mother. And of course, I went to my mother's school and I was reading. So that taught me already first day what's going on. That even young people have no respect for older people. And there, of course, people that were there probably longer or whatever told me, "Don't you dare do something like this. Just keep it to yourself." Then we would get a ration of bread, and my mother cut it in three. And she didn't let us eat everything at once. Of course, we were younger, we wanted to. So she would give us a portion from hers. When we saw this, we said, "No way." So we listened to her, and we would eat our portion at the time when she wanted. We were taken to work outside. We would take stones from one place and put it in another one. Then the following day we would take them and put them back. That was just to make us tired, and nothing constructive.
What were you wearing?
One day we were wearing pants, old pants, with a khaki top, which has a cross on the back from paint, a cross in the back. And then we had kerchiefs, some kind of kerchief everybody wore. Because
what kind of shoes were you wearing?
Oh, we had wooden shoes.
What time of the year was it?
That was June.
Of what year?
1943. One day, I always had a full face and looked healthy. So I would always be the first one when they counted us to go to work. One day we were not sent to work and they would make selections. We didn't know for what, but then we learned that this was for some people that didn't like or whatever, they would send to gas chambers. My youngest sister got sick one day. It was very hot. It was August already. I don't know if it was meningitis or what. She got sick and she didn't talk anymore. We took her to the barracks, and then from there they took her to another camp, which was adjacent to our camp, and to like a hospital. They called it Revere. She was very pretty. I had a friend that I found when we marched to work this was 3 months later, I think, that would send us little packages through somebody. And he said that he would send something. His name was Simon Gutmann. He recognized me from France. And he threw over the wires, he threw some shoes. Each day he threw something else. And when my sister went to the hospital, she survived only 4 days.
Go ahead. What happened to your sister?
My sister went to the Revere, this hospital, and I wanted very badly to see her. One day I got somebody to take me there, and I was free from work because some of the people respected my mother and me, maybe because they didn't have a mother. So they kind of regarded us, better. I mean, they liked us, so they let me go to the other camp to see my sister. When I arrived to the Revere, they told me, well, your sister just died. I couldn't forgive myself for not being there before. And I asked, I want to see her. Please. They said, you cannot see her. She's better off. The nurse took me around. She said, believe me, she's better off. You should be happy that she's gone. I said, but I want to see her. So they took me to a it was like a wooden shack or something. And they said, well, she's there. I said, I would like you to open the door. They said, I don't have the key. So I looked. I said, can I look through? And I looked and I thought I seen my sister. I see so many women, so many people, one on top of the other, with their eyes open, with their arms spread and leg one on two. I thought I saw my sister. I still think I did see my sister. It was horrible. I could not forgive myself for not have seen her before. When I went back, and my mother came from work because she had gone to work, I put on a face and I told my mother that my sister went to another camp, that they took care of her, that my friend made all possible, and that she went to another camp. So I don't know if my mother believed me or not, but she didn't say anything. Another time, when we worked together with my mother, somebody that was already, we worked indoors. We worked in a Weberei where we were making supplies for soldiers.
What kind of supplies?
That was, we made long strips of some kind of rubber. And they said it was for tanks. And we had to deliver that much every day. But with the time, some of our friends find a way to mark it, and to take off the mark. so we wouldn't be punished that we didn't make that much that day. My mother had made another kind of work in the same barrack. One day, a man came in from the men's, because they were bringing in materials for us to work. That man always used to come and bring a little something for us from that friend that I found. There would be a little bit of sugar, sometimes a little bit of margarine or whatever. And I would share with my friend next to me. And my mother, of course. One day he came very happy, the same man, and he said, you know what? Your father is alive. Your father came from Jaworzno to Auschwitz. And you shouldn't worry. He was sick. He has diarrhea. But you should not worry because we're going to take care of him. When the man left, I don't know why, I felt a punk in my heart. I was very happy at the time, but then I got very sad. I don't know why, I just couldn't believe my happiness. But the next day, I didn't hear from the man at all. So I turned to my girlfriend, which worked next to me, and I said, how come you didn't tell me that my father died? And she said to me, I didn't want to tell you. I had that feeling that he must have died the same moment when I felt that punk in my heart. Because the next day I just felt it something, too much happiness for me. I just can't believe it did happen. But I want to believe that my father knew through my friend that we are alive. Again, I did not tell my mother. I told my mother that he is in camp and taken care of. My mother, I don't know, she was always telling me, we have to survive. We have to survive. We have to tell the world what happened. And I said to my mother, no, what do you have to survive for? Let's go on the wires, let's finish, because people don't care. They just don't care for us. They don't care what happened, because if they did, if they would be human, that wouldn't happen. What happened? Look what's going on. Why we have to go on like this? But she, like I say, I don't know if she knew that my father was dead or not, I don't know. But she had that will, that strong will. She said, no, no. In Yiddish, she used to talk to me. No, my kind, please, Rosette. She would call me Rosette. Please, you're going to see, we're going to survive. We're going to survive. We have to tell people what's going on and what happened. I couldn't leave it alone, so I wouldn't go. So I stayed for her. And that's how we stayed in camp. And very often, when we used to go to work, a young fellow would SS, and that was before, I forgot, that was before. They would have dogs with them, and they would just make fun, like there was a river. They would throw in straw into the river and would tell the girls that did not know how to swim, go and get it. And they would just laugh, and they would take the gun and shoot in the air just to scare us, because the girls wouldn't want to go. We wouldn't want to go into that water. So he would take the gun, and they were laughing and laughing. They were having so much fun. I just don't know how a human being can do that. That's what I was saying to my mother. What for and what for? German or not German, it didn't matter. A person is a person. I say, how? It's just unbelievable.
State number 2 is Rosette Fischer. Go on.
Can I tell you now about? So one day we heard that was towards the liberation, because we tried to get the news as much as we could, and they will take us from one camp to another.
How did you get from one camp to another?
No, that was not far. That was from B camp to C camp. Over there, we almost didn't work. We were just waiting. There was like a transaction camp. People used to come. As a matter of fact, I heard about my sister, that people from Lodz were coming. I went out to see if she is there, but she wasn't. Instead, I saw my 2 uncles of mine passing by, and I had the chance to approach. I just ran out. I didn't care what's going to happen to me. And I said, "Where is everybody? Where is everybody? What happened?" They were from Lodz. And they told me, "Well, almost everybody's gone. But your sister passed here 2 weeks ago, and she's not here anymore." That's how I learned that I will not see my sister soon. Then after that, 2 weeks, I think, we stayed 2 weeks in that camp, and we started walking. That was January the 18th, 1945. There we started walking from all these camps, from all the sides, we started walking. My mother got very tired. She would walk slower. So we were like in the back of everybody. And I would tell her, "Come, Ma, you wanted to survive. Let's walk." And she said, "No, you leave me here. You just continue. You're young, you can go. I don't have the strength anymore." And they were shooting from each side. If you stayed behind, they were shooting. If you were at the side, and you heard people just falling to the sides, and I was dragging my mother, and I said, "No, you cannot sit, you have to walk." That was me, that was the strong at that time, and I would drag it towards almost the middle or whatever, so we wouldn't be at the end. And when everybody was sitting for 5 minutes, I didn't let them even sit. And she was begging me, she couldn't do it. Finally, we arrived. After 3 days, 3 nights walking, we arrived to Ravensbrück, where everybody was in a big hall. It must have been a recreation hall of some kind of a gymnastic place, school. So we all sat down on the floor to sit. My mother was so nervous that I couldn't let nobody be near her, and we had to be one on top of the other. She would rest her head on my lap, but if somebody touched her leg, she said, "Oh no, oh no." She just couldn't take it because she was overtired. And so I wouldn't sleep, and I would beg the girl, "Please, please." And they really were very nice about it. Everybody was nice. I think there were only 2 mothers in the whole camp. A friend of ours, which was alone, not with her, who adopted us also, my friends. She was same age with my mother and my mother. So that was the only 2 ladies that were not old, but they were 40, and over 40, considered old at the time. So we stayed in that camp only, I think, a night or 2 nights, something like that. From there, we start walking again and went to Ravensbrück. In Ravensbrück, I think we stayed 3 months. I really don't remember what we did, but one day...
What was Ravensbrück like?
Ravensbrück, I didn't know Ravensbrück very well because we didn't stay too long. We were all together, you know. But then we went to Neustadt Glöw, I understand there's another Neustadt, but this was Neustadt Club in Germany. And one day I was sent with other friends of mine, Marie-Claude, Doris, Adi. We were sent to a train to bring bread to the camp. And we were allowed to eat there. Of course, each of us packed a lot of bread for the rest of the people that didn't come to pick up the bread. I was loaded with bread, and so were my friends. But when we arrived back in camp, they were saying, whoever has anything, just throw it out, because you're going to be punished. We start to throw out everything. But there was one piece that I couldn't throw out. I knew my mother didn't have it. So I had to hide it. And they found it, of course. They found it. They put up in the front, I don't remember, how you call it,
A bench.
Like a bench. It has two legs and just a bar across. They would put me on that and they start hitting me. I would bend down and they were hitting me. I was supposed to get 25, but I don't think I got the 25 because somehow, I don't know where I took the strength. I just ran into the room and everybody would cover me. That was a very, oh yeah, I forgot a very important thing, but that was in camp. That was still in Birkenau. One day my friend came to see me. He had worked himself out to work in the kitchen. That's why, he was one of the privileged people. He could buy off people to let him go and come. So he came. That one time he came to see me. He left me a piece of margarine. When he left, an SS came along. She saw me. She said, "What do you have?" I gave her the margarine. She slapped me over the face. That I think I didn't know, on my head, I didn't know if I was coming or going. And then she took me to a place where we called the Vorne. That was in the front of the camp. There was a podium where there was music. The girls would play for the people that march to work and from work. That same day, my mother went to work. I was left behind to see my friend. They took me there. They put me next, that everybody that comes from work should see me. And I was going to be punished to be in a special, I forgot how you call it. I'm very confused, I'm sorry. Where it's a dark room, where it's 4x4, they told me whatever. I was going to be punished, severely punished, and they wanted everybody to see that I'm getting punished. It didn't matter to me that I'm going to be punished, but what matters to me, that my mother will see me, that she's going to pass by and she's going to see me, and how she's going to survive by herself. She wants to live. Yeah, I don't know what happened after maybe 2 hours of standing there, or I don't know, it seemed 2 hours. Somebody came and got me there. If it was my friend that did it or somebody else, they took me off from there. And I was back into the barracks. It took 10 days for me. I had a nervous breakdown after that. I wasn't standing in the front anymore because I couldn't stand on my feet. I couldn't eat. I couldn't drink. My friends would hold me up in the back to be counted because every day they counted us. They were hiding me. They were doing the best, but I just couldn't. My tears would come out, and I just didn't talk, and I would just not stop crying. I couldn't swallow. I remember they changed the bread for something like from somewhere, I don't know, an apple or something. My mother would scrape and give it to my mouth. It took 10 days till I really started coming back to myself. That was a very bad experience for me. And after the camp, I had nightmares. All those nightmares, I don't know if they did something to me because I'm still taking some pills that the doctor prescribed for me after the war. My mother and I survived. I don't know how. I certainly didn't do nothing to survive. Why my sister didn't survive, why others didn't survive, why the little kids that I saw marching with all the men, that they told me that it's not enough gas for them, that they used to be thrown into a hole. They're going to be burned alive. There were all the people and children. This I can never understand because children never had a time to do anything wrong. If I did something wrong, I don't know, if I did, I had an age already, but a child of 2, a child of 1, little children, this upset me always, and I'm always upset by it. That's why I have to say that, but I don't mean any harm about it. I didn't want to have children. I promised myself when I went out that I will not bring any children to this world. But I got pregnant, and I'm very happy now. But
Rosette, back to Ravensbrück. What happened? How did you leave Ravensbrück?
we left all of us together
Where did you go?
to Neustadt.
What happened there?
In Neustadt, we would linger around. There was not much to do because they were liberating. As a matter of fact, the day that we heard that they liberated us, my girlfriend came over. She said to me, she tapped me over my shoulder, and she said, "You know what? We liberated. Rosette, we liberated." And I went and said, "So what?" I don't know why, but that's how I felt. I felt that I really don't want to see nobody, that I want to. It took me a year to wear a purse, to put my IDs in. When we came back, even then, when we came back to France, after 2 weeks being in a little house, my mother, that lady that I talked about, and my friends, we were in a little house in Germany waiting to be transferred back to France. When we were transferred back, and the plane, and the train, coming into France, they will come and ask, who is French? Who wasn't born in France, they didn't give money. Who was born in France, they got 100 francs or something. My girlfriend, Marie-Claude, came over to me because it hurt me. I said, even now? They're making a difference, even now? So she came over and she split the money with me. She said, "Here, you're going to have money to buy bread." We didn't know what's waiting for us. So even then, maybe that's why I didn't believe in people. But I have to say that I have many, many good friends, and there are some good people.
What happened the day you were liberated?
The day we were liberated,
What day was it?
May the 2nd,
What year?
1945.
What happened?
What happened? We were in barracks, and all of a sudden we heard noises. Everybody got up and everybody was screaming. And everybody ran out. In the morning the Russian came, and later on the American. I was just keeping with my mother. Nothing mattered to me. But they did it for me. I mean, they took me, we were very close, and we all went into a little house where the two ladies, the two mothers, took care of the youngest. And they would provide some food, and they would cook. And I have to say, the day my mother got liberated, she was not the same, because she was afraid have a slap. Since that girl slapped and all, she was so frightened but that she always walked away. She wouldn't. But that day, the day that she got liberated, she came to life. She took over, and they were cooking, and she was so busy with us, so busy. And the French people took us to Paris. And my mother lived with me, and she took care of everything. My sister came to Paris from Poland. Of course, we start acquiring about all our families, and our apartment was occupied. We found a very nice young man that lent us an apartment with cold water on the flat, of course. But we were very happy to be ourselves there. And also, when we came, we were greeted by some people that took us to Hotel Lutetia, which was a beautiful hotel. There was food prepared for us. And we didn't have where to go. So we stayed 2 weeks in that hotel till that young man offered that apartment. My mother took care of everything, like I say. Do we have much more time?
Go ahead.
Yes. We had news from my uncle, who was the only one survivor, from my father. My father had a family of 5 brothers and 2 sisters. They were all married. My youngest uncle only survived, who is the same age that I am. My mother had a sister. And she had a family because my mother was an orphan since she was 8 years old. So she had only one sister, and the sister had a family. Nobody survived. I'm getting dizzy. We took some cures in France, and so my mother started working for us, and I helped her. We were together with some other. I'm not feeling good. Can we stop for a while? So that means I was rushing.
Go ahead.
I like to bring back my childhood.
Okay.
When I was born, my grandmother died, and I was named after her. I never knew my grandmothers. I knew my grandfather. My father's father was a very good-looking man.
What was his name?
His name was Mordechai. He was modern. He had a chain, short clothing, he wore a gold chain, and everybody in town respected him.
Where did he live?
In Lodz. He, as a matter of fact, when he died, half of the town went to his funeral. I was 7 then, couldn't read, but I somehow figured it out. I had a grandfather, my mother's father, who wore long clothes. He was religious. He lived with us. He took care always of us. My father respected him a lot. He was very loving. Even the non-Jews used to call him the clean grandpa. He had a white beard. He wore a Jewish hat, and he wore Jewish clothes. But he cared about everybody, not only about us. He cared about the children in the court, if they were dressed properly, if they were warm. I loved them a lot.
What was his name?
His name was Wolf. My grandson is named after him. And I have to say thank you again.
What happened to them?
What happened? My dad died. They died. My grandfather, one died when he was 53. The other one, he was 67, I believe. The one that lived with us. And if I recollect my childhood, I always remember with a lot of love. We cared about each other. There was never hollering. My mother would want to slap, give us a spanking, we would run away. We always had help in the house. And I guess till we went to France, life was very sweet. In France, of course, it was more difficult. My father had to work. He didn't know the language. So that was hard. And then, of course, the war made it very hard for him in thinking that he has a daughter and a family that is still in Poland. He used to say to us, please, children, finish your food. Who knows if your sister has anything to eat? Come on, finish your food. I was a poor eater, but during the war I started eating, I think, for two. And we cared.
Did they observe Shabbat in your home?
Oh, yes. We observed Shabbat. My father, even though that he was not religious, and he was smoking a lot, but he would never light a cigarette on Shabbat. When it came to the candle lighting, my father would put away the cigarettes and didn't take a cigarette back till Shabbat was over. Not because he was so religious, for the respect of my grandfather and for the respect of, just the respect of the family. I wish that in America the family should stay together just as close that we stay. Somehow it seems to me that everything is just falling apart. My cousins, my children don't know the cousins. We came to America, my husband came to family, to first cousins. They have other cousins. It's not the same.
Rosette, what happened the first few years after liberation in Paris? When did you meet your husband?
My husband came to see my sister. He heard that my sister came from Poland, and he knew my sister from Poland. He came to see her. And then when he met me, of course he didn't speak any French, so I went with him to the American embassy because he said that he has family in America, and he started to make his papers. When we got married, he wanted to go to America.
What was his name?
My husband's? When I met him in French was Fulek, in Poland was Fulek, in French was Felix. Came to America, it became Ralph. but his name is Raphael. Yeah, so.
So when did you get married?
We got married in 1947, January 1947.
Where?
In Paris.
What did you do after you got married?
Me?
Yes.
I didn't do anything.
Where
I
did
didn't
you
have
live?
any skills.
Where did you live?
I lived on Avenue Jean Jaurès in Paris. One bedroom, one dining room, small kitchen, and a little entrance hall. And my husband worked very hard. He started to work at 6 in the morning, came back at 10 in the evening. After 1 year, my son was born, Claude. I'm very proud of him. I loved him as soon as I saw him. And when he was 4 years old, we left for America, just because to save him.
Where did you come to America?
We came to Paterson, New Jersey, a hole in the wall. I hated it from the beginning. Little houses. In the summer, I said we're not going to need to go for vacation, because we used to go every year in France and in Poland. We used to own a house in Poland, you know. And I never spent any summer in a city. So, but the summer came, it was so sticky. It was a valley. So my husband sent my son and me to the mountains, famous Catskills. And from then on, we used to go every summer for 2 months to the Catskills.
When was your daughter born?
My daughter was born in Paterson, New Jersey, 1956, September 30th. Going back and forth.
What is her name?
Her name is Kathy. She is named after my mother-in-law.
When did you come to California?
To California, 1963. My husband came in December 1962. I came in March because we were selling the house in 1963 in March with my little girl. My son came a little later because he was attending school, and he was sent to a special school for 8 weeks, and he joined us after.
Why do you think you survived?
I don't know why I survived. I survived, yeah. I think thanks to my mother I survived. But there wasn't such a thing that one survived or the other one didn't. I think it was just like a lottery, without buying the ticket. It just happened.
Are your children married?
Yes.
Do they have children?
Yes.
How?
Not both of them. My son has 2 children. One is Avi, he's 13. He just was bar mitzvah. The little girl is 7.
Rosette Fischer, what happened to your mother?
My mother came with us, of course. She came after 5 years. We became citizens, and my mother, my sister, my brother-in-law, they all came to Paterson, New Jersey. My mother, when she sat down outside the house, she said, "This is the happiest moment of my life. I feel so good here." She had remarried, and he was a very nice, we called him Pepe, very nice gentleman. He loved my children as he loved his own. And We stayed till 1962. My husband left, and then in 63 I came with my mother, with my stepfather, and my little girl. We came to Los Angeles. There were more in my house that they were in their own. My stepfather passed away in about 25 years ago, I would say. So my mother was alone, but she was constantly with me. Even now, when I do something in the kitchen, she used to go around and put an apron around me, say, "Come on, you're going to get dirty." And I say, "Oh, come on, don't bother me." Now I'm putting on that apron. I just feel her presence all the time. She passed away 5 years ago, but she will still be with me as long as I live. I loved my father a lot. I think when I was younger, I loved my father even more than my mother. But what happened to my father happened to many people when I was young, and it's just, I got the gift to have my mother that long, and I guess that's why I'm sure that everybody's missing their mother, but I'm missing it so much because she was that long with me. She was all alive with me, all the time. And that's why I miss her so much. And my children loved her a lot too. They used to call her Meme. And even the little girl that doesn't know her, because she was only 3 months old when my mother passed away, she will talk about her. She thinks she knows her. My mother was a very bright woman. When she heard that somebody got converted or somebody got adopted, she would say, "It's the biggest mitzvah that you can do." And I always think about her as a great, great lady. And I wish I could talk to her. And I wish she would have the interview instead of me. But I'm speaking in her name. And I want to say that we're going to do everything we can for Israel. She loved Israel. She said, without Israel, we can't exist. It will happen the same thing that happened before, that happened to us. Children, she would say in Yiddish, "Why are you buying another dress? Another dress? What do you need so many dresses for? Can't you do with less dresses? Send the money to Israel." She was a member of Pioneer Women. She was queen many times because she not only gave her money, but she went from house to house to get money. She didn't know how to speak English, but she arrived. She did more than many people that knew how to speak English. She belonged, and she made people belong. She made people do things for Israel. And she was always very charitable. When she was younger, she used to work for brides for dowry for brides, because she knew how to sew. So,
do you still believe in God?
It depends. I believe in God. I believe in a higher power. I don't know what is that. I believe that everybody should believe in the same thing, in being human. And religion shouldn't count that much, but they're forcing us. They're forcing us they're reminding us that we are Jews, and I'm proud to be a Jew, and my son went through the Yavna. He graduated the Yavne Academy, not because I'm religious, but because I want to have the tradition, and I want to continue the way my parents lived. And my husband will tell you more about God, because he didn't even want to go into a synagogue. My little boy, I would walk on a holiday in Paterson, New Jersey, with my little boy, and I wanted to go into the synagogue. But he said, go ahead, go. But I'm not going in. I said, listen, I'm not going to go without you. You have to go with me. I felt strange not to go in. Not that I believe, but I felt that it's my duty. I want to pray for the one that did not survive. I want to ask why. I always can never understand why. Why things happen the way, such bad things. There was no reason for it. Nobody hurt anybody. But there's no answer for it. There is no answer why. Why I survived, why my sister didn't survive. I have no answer for it. The question is always the same. Why me? I never say why I got sick. But because I'm like everybody. It can happen to me, it can happen to anybody. But I'm asking, why are people so bad? Why do they need that power, to have so much power over other people? For that matter, they have to kill, they have to do things that gas people alive. I cannot understand. I still cannot understand. By believing God. Well, I very often say, thank God. I continue the tradition for my mother. I light candles. I'm very proud. My son has a Jewish home. He lights candles. My daughter, my daughter married not too long ago. She lights candles just in memory of my mother. It's like I say, I don't know if I believe in God. I think I don't. But there again, there must be something. But why does God have to, if there is a God, why all these things happen? God's supposed to be good. So I don't want to say that, because my grandchildren listen to me. It would be very bad. But I want them to believe in something. It holds the family together. Tradition, I believe, holds the family together. And therefore, I want them to be good. I want them to have a good life, and I worry about them. I worry so much about my grandchildren. You hear so much going on, anti-Semitism all over. And I say to myself, did I have the right? Did I have the right to bring those children to the world? Look what's going on. But I hoped that the world gets more intelligent, who knows, more aware of what happened, and that they will see to it that Israel should exist, because without a country, we are lost. Nobody can, you have no identity. Even though America is good, everything is fine, but you're still a Jew. And we have to have Israel. And and when something goes on in Israel, I pray, I pray, and I'm proud of people, and I'm grateful to the people that give us Israel, because they give their lives. We only give money.
Thank you very much for your testimony.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
This is a picture of my mother, Esther Ziegelfarb, and my father, Shmuel Ziegelfarb. It has been taken sometimes around 20 or 30. In the
Where?
30s or in the 20s. No, years, I don't know. Exactly.
Where?
On Lodge.
Poland?
40 or 40.
Go ahead.
This picture is taken in France, in the country. The first girl to the left is a friend of mine, Jeanette. Then it's me.
Your name?
My name is Rosette. The next is my first girlfriend that I met in Paris. Her name was Betty. And the last one to the right is my sister Rachel. That was in Paris.
Okay.
This is my little sister Rachel. She was born in 1926 in Lodz, and she was deported with me to Birkenau, Auschwitz. She died in camp 3 months later. This is me and a very good friend of mine. His name is Vogel, Max Vogel, and my name is Rosette. He was arrested in 1942, deported, never came back. I got the picture from his mother. The picture was taken, I believe, 1942.
Where?
In Paris.
Go ahead.
This picture is of my family. The first to the left is me,
Rosette.
Rosette. Next to me is my husband, Ralph. Next to my husband is my daughter, Kathy. And above all us is my son, Claude.
What
Very
year?
happy. That was in Berkeley when my daughter graduated college. Must have been in the 80s, I don't remember. This is my daughter and her husband, Peter. Their name is now Bloch. Peter and Kathy Bloch. They got married 2 years ago.
Where?
All here in Los Angeles. Had a beautiful wedding. This is my grandson, my joy and pride. His name is Avi. Avi is now 13 years old. He was born in San Francisco, in San Francisco.
Whose son is he?
He is the son of my son. This is my granddaughter, my sweetheart, and she is 7 years old, and her name is she's named after my little sister, which Rachel Leah, what we calling her Leah. She's a little devil, and I love her. This picture is of my mother. She passed away in 1950. 1990. She was the love of my life. And I will always remember her. She died in Los Angeles. Blessed, her memory should be blessed by all of us. Want me to say more? My mother was a very proud lady, and she was a big doer, especially for Israel. She loved her children, her grandchildren, and she loved her son-in-laws, that's for sure. I think she loved them more than her daughters.
When was this picture taken?
The picture was taken, I would say, about 20 years ago.
1976?
Something like that, I don't recall.
In Los Angeles?
It was, yeah, in Los Angeles. It's just a little picture that we took.
Go ahead.
This is the picture of my son and my lovely daughter-in-law.
Their names?
My daughter-in-law's name is Anne Swidler, My son is Claude Fischer. They're both married happily. They give me a lot of joy, and I'm very proud of my daughter-in-law, and of course of my son.
When was this picture taken?
This picture was taken 19, well, I don't remember.
Where?
In Washington. The wedding was in Washington.